Hey everyone, welcome in to another daily editorial here on the KE Report. I'm getting an update from Graphene Manufacturing Group, and we are going to be answering all the questions that you keep sending in to me, dealing with the three different product lines this company has. The batteries, the graphene aluminum ion batteries that are continuing to make progress. We have Thermal XR, a lot of questions around going to market with that product, and the graphene lubricants. I am chatting with Craig Nicol, founder and CEO of Graphene Manufacturing Group, traded on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol GMG and on the OTCQX under the symbol GMGMF. Now, everyone, thank you for sending me in your questions. I'm going to get to as many of them as I can. Please keep sending me your questions for Craig. I've isolated them into different sections dealing with different areas of the company. First and foremost, Craig, the company most recently announced a fundraiser. You raised just short of $3.5 million. That was closed back on May 7th. A couple questions that just came in really straight up. Just what was this money needed for? What sort of run room does this almost $3.5 million get the company?
Yeah, thanks for having me back on, Corey. Always good to be talking to you. Yeah, we did raise the $3.5 million just under 2 weeks ago now, and that enables us to, I guess, strengthen the cash position of the company and provide liquidity to finance ongoing operations. So happy to get that away. The market isn't what it used to be a couple of years ago, that's for sure. But that was good to get that away and top up the account as we push in. We're obviously pretty eager to progress sales for our Thermal XR, and obviously we've also announced our cost reductions, which we've done after merging our projects team and our operations team, whilst we wait for the next stage of the growth of the company. So all those things together, put together with this cash top up, will really help strengthen the future of the finances of the company going forward. I think it's fair to say, I think at least 5-6 months or so gives us running room, but that's not accounting for sales and various other different types of cash flow items we already have. So with all that together, very happy this has happened. Very happy to get that away, and now looking forward to progressing the sales and maintaining our cost structure so we can try to hit some type of cash flow, break even or even cash flow positive sometime next year. That's what we're aiming for, and hopefully this will kind of push us further in that way.
So this also comes on the back of that March 25th news release where you received that $2 million grant from the government. With this money then, and the focus, it sounds like, towards going cash flow positive, what areas within the company, the different divisions, does this money get more allocated towards?
Yes, it's a great recognition for the company because we've been working with the state government for many years on many different things, and for them to put $2 million into the company at a grant, so it doesn't need to be payback, so non-dilutive, enables us. It's specifically for the battery plant, for the automated battery power plant, and which we're putting together as the next stage, a large project that we're willing to run. Hopefully we get that away this year so we can have it up and running next year, and then we can then start pumping out the batteries for people to test around the world. So it helps us specifically in the battery. It's a 50% non-dilutive funding. Really does give us recognition for what we've done and how we're going with respect to I guess in terms of a range of things. We've been a battery company now for 2.5-3 years, and now we have government grants for progressing the battery into the next stage of a pilot plant, which is a big thing, I think, in our eyes as well. So cash recognition for where we are, and then looking to have the Queensland government as a partner pushing this through, all great things, we think.
So moving towards profitability, cash flow positive, I assume this comes more on the TXR side of things, and we have a number of questions regarding U.S. approvals. So take us through, I guess, the roadmap to U.S. approvals and more revenue cash flow for the TXR division.
Yeah, so there's a range of product opportunities that Thermal XR, or sales opportunities that Thermal XR is providing us, and we gave this an update recently, and it's quite broad. I have to say, it's broadening out. It's much broader even since this announcement. There's been more broadening of the applications of it. First of all, we won a prize at 2 awards at the Data Center World Conference in Washington, D.C. in middle of April for most disruptive technology and best chance for market success for a thermal XR. This has come after a number of successful projects that we've used thermal XR for customers in paid projects where we've reduced the energy costs for data centers, mostly in Asia. That said, that's really quite something, but it enables us to then take that and use that for other data center owners around the world and make them clear that we really have something special here. And our coating, for instance, provided a 15% improvement at an aviation IT data center in Singapore. We've also had continuing progress in America under R&D rights where we can supply the product for R&D testing whilst we're working on an EPA approval, which we can go on to about next. And that's progressing. Number of projects there that are being set up. We're also talking to air conditioning manufacturers in China and also in America, and they're at different stages, but we've got some there that are actually looking at production testing. So they've gone through, they've accepted the customer wants this product. Now they're into production testing. How do they apply it in their factories? So we can start to see some OEM sales, which is really exciting. Since doing a number of beachfront hotels where the prime focus is on air conditioning corrosion resistance, we've found that that's quite resonating with a number of other beachfront hotels, resorts, and so we've got a number of campaigns running in Australia mainly, but then we'll be able to branch that out into Mexico, Caribbean, and push for, and obviously in Asia, for corrosion resistant air conditioning, where we actually paint the whole air conditioner as well as the condenser coil to make it efficient and corrosive resistant. And we're still doing a corrosion resistant testing in St. Louis in America, and we're past 10,000 hours salt sea spray, which is a really quite high number, but we're still continuing to go. We've now got since another order for the company that we did the micro LNG plant, liquefied natural gas plant. And so we're going back to complete their entire plant, which means, we did really well. We did a 16% improvement on their LNG plant and on their first phase. Now we're going back for the second and third phase. We're also doing pretty advanced testing and in some cases beyond into production testing on very large kind of global train manufacturers on their air conditioners and also truck manufacturers in a number of parts of their trucks, which is also very exciting because those are huge markets and we're really the only product company that can do this, and obviously we're progressing quite well.
So Craig, with all these avenues that TXR can go into, all these different sectors, where do you see some of the best revenue coming from? Or does the company even need to focus on certain sectors, really with the goal here of maybe funding the rest of the divisions through TXR alone?
Yeah, it's if you'd asked me a couple of months ago, I would have said New Cargo in America is where our growth sales opportunities are really based for now, apart from Asia, which is growing steadily. And that's why the EPA resubmission is so important. We're putting a lot of effort into that, and we'll obviously make a press release when that happens, which is imminent, but not final yet for that resubmission. But now with OEMs coming on board, data centers, LNG plants really strongly, I think there's any number of sectors which could be the larger of the sectors in a year or two, which is really quite exciting. That's exactly where one wants to be. We just keep pushing ahead. We've got our coating blend plant up and running, and we have our graphene plant up and running. Both are working quite well. When you put those two together, there's no other company in the world that can do that, and then have the application knowledge and how to measure the reaction and what we can do, the performance outcome. You put all that together, and it's a great service offering, and we can ship it out. Our costs are coming down. We're able to penetrate and get to an OEM price now when previously we couldn't. A year ago we couldn't, but now we can. So there's a lot of benefits of putting it all together and just continuing to propel this into many different areas. And we only expect it to be growing because honestly we're obviously waiting for our EPA approval. which is the largest market for coatings for air conditioning systems in the world by far in America. So that's the big one. We're working through that, and we're really excited about it.
So, Craig, is the balance here? Are you just waiting for a big order that you can fulfill, or do you have the back end infrastructure to satisfy big orders if they do come in the near term?
Yeah, so we've been testing our production facilities, and we think we're okay in doing 1,000 liters a day. We could do it, and that it's probably 500,000 liters, or 250 to 500,000 liters a year. And so there's a pretty solid revenue base off that. Pretty sure we'd have to expand our graphene to make that much coating, which is our modular graphene plant's ready to be expanded at that time. That's not a problem. So I think in total we've got the opportunity with the approvals that we have in Australia, Canada, Asia, Europe, and hopefully soon America. We got that there's probably something like about $100 million to $200 million of revenue that we could have just coming out of the facility that we have in Brisbane that we're basically built, and now we can add on for more graphene supply. So that's we're at 50 to 70%, depends on where we sit with the revenue, with the margins. It's pretty good margin. We'll be a substantial business, if we're pushing that kind of volume and that kind of revenue, and that would be really pushing a blend, a couple or two or so a day. And we feel like that we can do that. Liquids are very easy to scale compared to other more complex type products. Nano liquids are still complex, but we've done enough batches now to work out that we think we can do it. So really, we're waiting for those orders to come through to really test the back end. But we feel like there's enough testing in the back end to take these stock orders on and to be able to send them out as pretty much as quick as we got them.
Okay, we'll move on to the battery division now, but please, everyone, just keep sending me your questions. I'll keep following up with Craig. Let's talk about that joint development agreement with Rio Tinto for the batteries, the graphene aluminum ion batteries, testing out the pouch packs, developing the pouch pack sector. You've switched from coin cells to pouch packs. What can you tell us in terms of an update with this development agreement with Rio Tinto?
Look, it's going, it's progressing, it's working through all of the things that you do when you scale a new battery technology. We've got coin cells up and running, did thousands of those, and now we've done hundreds of pouch cells. And the pouch cell is really, quite a more complicated beast than the coin cells, and we're working through answering those compromises. You fix one, you find another problem. You fix that problem, you find another problem. So we're in what's called Battery Technology Readiness Level 4, which means we're optimizing electrochemistry, which is absolutely where we're at. And I think we're ready. Once we've solved there's a couple more problems. Once we solve those problems, I think we should be able to see our sights to finalizing the investment decision, obviously subject to financing and all of that. For the battery plant, that's really our next step, and we need to obviously issue some cells for people to test before that. But our goal is to bring it all together, and that's what we're doing. Bring it all together so that the cells can be tested, and then we have confidence that the cells are where they're at. The electrochemistry is what we need, and then we take an investment decision on that battery pilot plant, which is. We pretty much got it there, and obviously got government grants, and we're looking at strategic partners in that space. But that's where we're hoping we can take the next step, and as I said, we hope to do that, definitely sometime this year, so we can have it up and running next year. And so, there's a lot of activity all around that, and really shaping this up to getting that cell so that we can be having confidence to put money into the plant. So probably summarizes that best.
So this move into a battery development plant, then, does it all hinge on Rio Tinto and the partnership there? What feedback you get from them when they test these batteries?
To some degree, but we've got many companies wanting the batteries on top of what Rio is public, and that's really key because we needed support for the battery to show that this has got legs, if you like, in the community around battery buyers. Almost every battery buying company out there is looking for the next battery. They don't stop looking. There are a lot of problems with the existing ones, but they also work in a lot of ways as well. So they're always looking for the next one, but they'll never be telling anyone that they're doing that. So they'll never publicly say we want the next one. It takes a lot for them to move. Really, car companies can is there another space, but generally personal electronics, genuinely don't want to tell anyone what their next great secret could be. So yeah, I think the conversations really around, how do we get Rio there comfortable with our battery, but then also how do we get a bunch of other different companies there, and they're all different sectors. So they're in aviation, they're in heavy equipment applications, and they're in grid, they're in various different types of applications that you would normally see or want to see a kind of a high power density battery like ours. So that hasn't gone away. They're still very keen, and obviously very keen about the safety element of it as well. And so that's what we aim to just continue pushing along. And whilst we get there, whilst we're pushing that along, we seem to attract others coming in as well, which is great.
So how capital intensive will this move be, battery-wise? When and if you can get these to market? Well, I've had a number of questions asking, when will the batteries be ready for market? But I think even on top of that, how capital intensive will it be to get them ready for the market?
Yeah, so, you can see what a battery company that's probably 1 or 2 steps ahead in front of us, what they've already got a battery pilot plant, and they might be looking at the next plant, which is, say, a 250 megawatt hour plant, commercial plant, which would be probably ours after we've done this pilot plant. You can see the kind of money that they've spent. We should be up and running with a battery pilot plant, probably, around $7 or $8 million Australian. The next plant's probably more, it'll be definitely less than 100 million, but is it 30 or 40 million, or is it more like 60 million? But for that, we'd be looking at the entire graphene and battery plant, so the whole value chain. And obviously we're making money on the graphene as well as the battery. So in terms of internally, so look, there's the capital that's needed is probably medium compared to other industries. Certainly, coming from the oil and gas industry, this type of capital intensity is probably I would call medium, even to lighter side or medium. But it's not small as well. What that enables us to do, though, is to develop a technology that pretty much is world leading and has the opportunity to capture an enormous value share of the market. And if you look at the large battery companies, there's only a few. They're all bigger than the car companies, many times over. Even still now, apart from obviously one in the big seven. So, and they're obviously a battery company as well. So, that on a way to a large scale battery company outcome, that there is definitely capital needed. Does it pay back? And obviously, if you're successful, yes, well and truly, in my belief, because you end up being one of the biggest companies there is at the largest scale there is. So that's obviously kind of where we're aiming to do and bringing this technology along with us.
All right, Craig, thanks for addressing all these questions. I have more for you, but I'll book another call with you in a couple weeks here to address some of the more technical questions. I guess as a final comment then, what sort of news can investors look out for? What is on tap for the company here that shows us progress in any of the divisions, especially TXR and especially the batteries?
Yeah, so the work in sales in thermal XR is definitely heating up, and there's a lot of different applications being proven, and then hopefully we can then come out and progress them into larger scale orders. Obviously, we want to come out shortly with the EPA resubmission, which we're coming out with a press release on that. And then, we'd be coming out with our battery update, which we aim to do shortly. G lubricant data as well. We really are working on that. It's quite an intense path of my background was in fuels engineering and lubricants engineering, and really going to make sure that is tight before we issue that, like everything we do. So, and then really any kind of partnerships that might be coming out with us on our battery space. And then, following that, having an approval in EPA, and then we've got immediate sales orders to fill, and we have the product available, so we've just got to ship it. Literally sitting on our factory floor with invoices sitting in the 1,000-liter totes. So that's really the kind of next few months, we hope. But look, we'll have to wait and see what the regulator says about that. And then, eventually we'd hope to obviously have some kind of investment decision in our battery plant as well.
All right, Craig, thank you very much for addressing these questions. Again, please, everyone, keep sending me your questions. fleck@kereport.com. I'll set up another call with Craig here in the next couple of weeks to keep on addressing your questions and follow up on any news that comes out in the meantime. Craig, thank you very much for your time. I'll post a link to the GMG website. We'll chat again in another couple of weeks.
Thanks, Corey.